So tell me, what is it like to travel the world as one of the most famous fighters on the planet?
Well, it's it's I feel very lucky and very blessed to have had the career that I had, and the support of the fan. It's a lot of fun, and it motivates me to keep hanging out in here with you guys.
Is it easier to enjoy the events now that you're not competing, that
Oh,
you're just going?
100%. When I was competing, and the day of the fight was the worst day of my life, and now I can enjoy it. It's a lot more fun, a lot less stressful.
Also, because the fighters aren't calling you out all the time as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's a lot of stress. Fighting, it's fun when you win, but all the waiting part before the fight, it's unbearable. I never liked it. I like to win, of course, and the freedom that it gives me, and all the life that it gives me. But the not knowing if I'm gonna win, or being humiliated or badly hurt, or winning, uh, that's unbearable. You know what I mean? So I know what the fighters are going through right now. It's very hard. But tonight it's gonna be not tonight. Tomorrow night it will be over.
Do you remember what it was like when you were in the hotel and you were about to face off with your opponent, maybe for the first time, and just what that moment was like? Did you look forward to that? Did you feel like you got something from it?
I never focused on meeting my opponent before the fight. I always focused on the fight itself. I was more preoccupied on how I'm gonna win the fight than how I'm gonna look like in front of my opponent.
Yes.
I think a lot of guys are not focusing on the right thing. I was always very good at focusing on the right thing. That's why I think it gives me an edge for the fight. I was focusing on how I'm gonna win the fight, but I kept running scenarios in my head over and over again. And then the week of the fight, I never slept very well. So because I was running those scenarios, and it drive me mad until the fight is over.
Did it ever scare you? Because sometimes if you're not sleeping, you're like, oh, I'm not sleeping, or I'm not eating what I should be. Did that part make you nervous for the fight?
Absolutely. In the beginning of my career, I remember I couldn't sleep well, and I thought that later on in my career, maybe with some experience, I'll pass that, and I'll find a way to relax, and to be able to have more fun. But I realized over time that every fight gets bigger and bigger, and things get worse. The only thing that changes is not that you're not stressed anymore. It's the fact that you know that it's normal to not sleep well before the fight, and
Yes.
you realize that it's normal to have the butterflies.
Exactly.
You learn how to make those butterflies fly in formation.
So,
Trying to do some poetry here.
and you told me that it's the worst day of your life, the day that you have to fight, until after. So why did you keep doing it? Why do you keep putting
It's a
yourself?
good question. I'm gonna try to answer it the best as I can. Is Yes, it's true. I never liked to fight. Never. I hated it. The worst day of my life. However, in order to keep my freedom, my wealth, my health, because of course there's a risk, but it's a healthy lifestyle to be if you want to be a good fighter. And I love to train. I love my sport. I like the lifestyle. I like the access of things that it gives me that other people does not have. In order to keep all that, I needed to compete.
Yeah.
That's why I did it,
Yeah.
to maintain my lifestyle,
Your
and to
freedom.
have the life that I have. That now, I'm able to retire. I was able to retire at 36 years old, and to do whatever I want to do, anytime, with who I want to do, where I want it to do. It's a price. The price that I needed to pay was to fight. You know what I mean? I think it was worth it for me. But unfortunately, it's a reality that it's it's very rare. I feel very lucky and privileged to have succeed in this game. But only a few have made it, and I really appreciate the support that I have from the fans, because of the fans that I was able to make a living out of this.
Yeah. Do you feel like because I'd gone to Montreal and I saw you at the gym and you're always training. And do you feel you can see when fighters have the potential to be that small 1%? Do you feel like you can see it?
You see a lot of talented guys sometimes, but it takes more than that. I think it takes the talent, the hard work, but also down the line, sometime on the way up, when success start to come, it can make some guys derail from their path where they wanted to go. And I feel like I was very lucky to have had all the mentors that I had, my parent, also my family, the life that I had. I was very lucky. Things could have turned very differently for me, and I think for every fighter there's the component of being the talent. Of course, you're born with a certain skills, a certain predisposition.
Mm-hmm.
You have to work very hard. There's also an element of I guess it's my ignorance that makes it call it luck. There's an element of luck that I don't know, a X factor that will define if someone will have success or not.
Well, luck favors the prepared, so
Exactly.
you helped yourself out there quite a lot. And lastly, you're considered one of the greatest martial artists and one of the greatest welterweights of all time, and there's always people going to try to surpass that. And does it bother you now that you can't fight them for that spot? Do you know what I mean?
There will always be another guy and another guy and another guy, and the best fighter that ever lives is not born yet. What I mean is that in combat sport, it's very subjective. We always try to find out who will win between Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali or Tyson Fury. The truth is, as time goes by, performances gets better. And how I can prove that is that just look the 100-meter. We know that Usain Bolt has a better performance than Jesse Owen. Is it because he's really better, or is it because he had access to more knowledge and technology? That's the thing. So the fighters of today are better than the fighters of tomorrow.
Yes.
The fighters of today are better than the fighters of yesterday, but the fighters of tomorrow will be better than the fighters of today. Not because they're physically better or they're really better.
Absolutely.
It's because they have access to better knowledge, technology, and tools that allow them to execute better performances.
So what
Einstein-
tool did you wish you had?
Einstein said it. Even in science, is the same thing than in performance and sport. If I've seen further than my predecessors, because I'm standing on shoulders of giant. Same thing. Royce Gracie, Mark Coleman, Ken Shamrock, all these guys, they paved the way for me, and I maybe paved the way for other guys in the future to surpass me.
Yeah. Well, lastly, I just wanted to ask you. Of course, we're in Paris. Do you wish that you could have fought in Paris?
I wish I would have fought in Paris. I remember when I was competing, I was begging Lorenzo Fertitta to please make a show in Paris, but at the time the sport was illegal, and I wish I would have fought in Paris because my origin are French. I'm French Canadian, but unfortunately it never happened. But I'm very happy, fortunately now, to be here today to witness the first UFC in Paris in France.
Is it your first time?
It's not my first time that I'm in France,
Okay.
but it's the first time that UFC organize
Yes, of course, an event.
a show in France. Yeah.
Okay. Well, any predictions on the main event? Any things you're gonna?
I'm biased. I'm friend with Cyril Gann. Of course,
hard not to be.
my heart is with him. However, he's gonna have a hell of a challenge. I believe to win, he needs to make a clean fight, because if he gets into a slugfest,
Yes.
Tuivasa, it's very good at putting his opponent at putting their opponents back against the fence and get into slugfest. He's very good in what we call dirty boxing, and I believe Cyril Gane need to avoid this at all costs. Otherwise it will be like making the fight on a coin toss, and he does not want to do that with Tuivasa because he has a lot of power. Cyril Gane has a lot of tools. All his creativity is. He's very good at striking, keep controlling the distance, and I think that's what he needs to do, especially in the striking department, to win the fight.
You think it favors him that it's 5 rounds as well?
I'm not sure because, maybe on the experience edge he did a 5-round once, but as the fight goes on, if he gets tired, if he loses his leg and his mobility, and Tuivasa is able to close the distance and put Cyril against the fence, I think Cyril needs to avoid getting his back against the fence. He needs to stay in the middle of the octagon and use his mobility, his footwork, in order to outpoint Tuivasa and perhaps create opportunity in order to finish him.
You think if he gets the win tonight, like he will eventually become the heavyweight champion?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think Cyril has all the skills to become a great champion, to become a legend in the sport. He's a very charismatic athlete as well. He's not only a good performer, he's a charismatic athlete, which means that like people want to see him come. He's gonna have big sponsorship, and he already has, but the best is coming for him. I believe so.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Tuivasa, same thing. He's a character on his own. You know what I mean? We have a clash tonight of two different style of fighters that are very charismatic.
Yeah. Would you let him do a shoey with?
Oh, he will. If he wins the fight, of course he wins. He will do it. But if he loses, I don't think it will be worth it.